the last lunch lecture of this academic year, and delighted that Floris is going to talk to us today about the ethics of philosophy for a sustainable and better world. So probably some questions and issues that we as sustainability scientists and as humans ought to consider. So Floris?
Okay. Welcome everybody, thank you for joining here at this lunch lecture, even at this nice day. Thank you for coming up here. As you see, it's being recorded, and if it's good enough, then you might find it also on the internet as well. So today I'm going to present you this poster. This is the ethics poster, which is an ethics for philosophy for sustainable development and a better world, which is basically the framework of ethics, contemporary ethics as it is today. And I will talk you through the poster. You'll have a copy of it. And this is also what I use as a framework for my courses on ethics and especially environmental ethics. But now here we go in 20 minutes through the whole concept of contemporary ethics. Ethics starts right here in the top corner. Ethics is about questioning what is right and what is wrong, what is good and what is bad. Basically, you can start answering with two answers. One is why is it good? What are you doing? And one thing is that you can just point to someone else. Why are you doing that? Well, because he or she says so. And that can be a dictator or somebody else. And of course, you can also point to God, to someone. Why are you doing that? Well, I have to do this because of God or because it's written in some holy book. Actually, that is not ethics at all. But many people still have some kind of what is called heteronomous ethics. You're pointing to someone else. So that is actually more or less the default position of humankind. And actually, as a reaction against that is the whole idea of ethics, and that is called autonomous ethics. So that's the answer is
maybe interrupt you.
Rather not, because it's being recorded. So, so on the other side is autonomous ethics, which means that you give reasons for why you're acting. You give that why are you doing what you're doing, then you list a whole range of arguments. And what these arguments are, and if you put a theory around it, that is what ethics is. And I have here listed like a list of some basic normative ethical theories, which are answers of why you're doing what you're doing, what you can answer. So this is autonomous ethics, reasoning why something is good or bad. And let me give you an example. I'm not going through all of them, but one of them. Liberalism, that's the idea that the basic value we as humans have is the freedom of the individual. So you can do anything you want as long as you do not harm other people. So everything is allowed. Why are you doing what you're doing? Well, it is what I want to do, and what are the limits of what you're doing? Well, my freedom is as large as it doesn't interfere with the freedom of others to do what they want. So it is about not harming others. That's an autonomous argument for saying, giving a reason for doing what you're doing. Then there's what is called green liberalism, and that's immediately that we can see what contemporary ethics is about. Then the question is that who are the others? And if you include as others also non-human animals and also future generations, then not harming others is really expanded a lot. I will go into that deeper later. Maybe one more, this is the social contract theory. So this is another autonomous moral theory. That's the idea of what is the foundation of the rules we have as a society. And the idea of the social contract theory is that people, what are the rules of our society? Then people gather around a table, and then they decide what will be the best rules to live by. So we make these rules up by ourselves because we have to share this world with others. And then you can say that the basic outcome of it, the most important outcome, is the Universal Declaration of Human Rights in 1948. You see, I say this is the most important, the best document humans ever made. It's a moral document, and it is founded by a social contract theory. We all made this up. Does nothing have to do with God or anything. So this is another basic ethical theory. Then the question is, again, so these are reasons, then you can say, to whom does it apply? To whom does ethics apply? To who is it only myself? And here you can see an expanding circle. Well, myself is in the middle. Usually ethics is about giving a reason why I do, what is good for me. But then you can ask, is that who should I include in this moral circle? Should I also, usually people say it's not only about myself, but it's also about my family, or maybe the people who are living in this nation, so all Dutch people. So you can see that you can expand this circle. You can say myself, my friends and my family, everyone in my country, that's nationalism. Or you can say, why only people living in this country, why not all the people living in this world? And if you are talking about living human beings, why not people living in the future? Or why not use non-human animals? And then you can ask yourself a really philosophical question: how far should we expand this moral circle? What is the argument for expanding this circle? What is the motor which drives this expansion? And then there's three words which I think are the most important words in the whole history of philosophy, and it took the philosophers 2,500 years to come up with that. And the philosopher who came up with that is Jeremy Bentham, and he wrote it down in a footnote in 1789, which is, can they suffer? The idea is not that we should include into our moral circle every entity which is able to suffer. Can they suffer? So then you can see, well, it's not only me who can suffer, but it's all humans who can suffer. But it's not only human beings who can suffer, it's also animals who can suffer. So that is called, if you take suffering as a criterion for the expansion of the moral circle, it's called sentientism, sentience. Then we move on to the next thing is, but not all entities can suffer equally. There's a different range in suffering, and that is also where philosophy meets biology. Biology gives the input of which animals can suffer and how much they are capable of suffering. And then this is input by biology, which says that, well, like a jellyfish can't suffer, a stone can't suffer at all, jellyfish can't suffer, humans can suffer, but primates and dolphins can almost suffer as much as humans, and less suffering is dogs and chickens and fish. And the input is, this is based on the neurology of these animals, because they have the same layout, the brains and the central nervous system. They have the same kind of behavior, and it's based on the function of pain and suffering in the evolution of animals. So I'm not going into this, but this is input by biology, and if this changes, then the scale changes as well. So this is basically not philosophy, but biology. But then there are also philosophers, they have been thinking, well, is this enough, this criteria of suffering? Shouldn't we expand our moral circle further? Why only to beings that can suffer? And then you can see, so there is another moral circle, which is idea, how should we expand? And then this starts out with what's called anthropocentrism, which says that we should only include humans in this moral circle. And then you can also ask what humans, but that's another point. So this anthropocentrism, the first expansion is sentientism, which includes all beings that can suffer. So if a being is capable of suffering, then it should be included in our moral circle. Then you can say, well, maybe it's not suffering which counts, but it is if it is alive or not. Which is a huge expansion, of course, because trees are also alive. And so if you expand it further, then you also have a much larger moral community. The next one is, you can also say, well, it's not about single entities, but it is about ecological systems. So it's not, we shouldn't look at individual animals or plants or living things, but we should at a biotic and abiotic community in an ecosystem. So when we look at nature, we should look at ecosystems as a form of which we should give moral standing. And the last expansion is maybe it's not. It is that the planet as a whole is one big organism, which is called Gaia, which is the holistic approach that the planet is one big ecosystem, and we should look at it as a whole. So these are the different kind of expansions. So this, you can look at these two expansions. You can apply them to each of these ethical theories. Yeah, so you have an ethical theory, which gives you reasons, and then you can say, well, who should we include in this moral reasoning? And this poster, actually, this makes a choice, as you can see, which is a choice to take sentientism, so the ability to suffering, takes this central. But if you take a different approach, then you have a different answer. So here we have also these four relations in philosophy. As you look at philosophy, and the history of philosophy, traditionally 90% or maybe almost 100% of what philosophers have been doing, they have been thinking about their relationship with the transcendental, with God. But we don't do that anymore. I mean, this is serious philosophy, so we are only. But then you say, and then the rest they have been thinking about how humans relate to other humans. That's what philosophy has been about. But the most important innovations in philosophy in the last 30 years is they have been working on this expansion of this domain of philosophy. And so you can have another relationship, so it's the humans-non-humans relationship. Then the groundbreaking work is Animal Liberation by Peter Singer, 1975. And our relation to nature, also starting in the 1970s. So actually people say there's nothing happening in philosophy, but actually the most important innovations have been for the last decennia in philosophy. So taking also into getting rid of the first one and spending attention on humans, non-human animals and the humans-nature relationship. These have been blind spots in the whole history of philosophy. So this is all new, so it's quite exciting. So then, when we also have, and then when you start thinking about what are the most important topics in ethics, well, there's one thing which has priority over everything, which is that in order to survive as humans, we need an ecosystem to live on, and actually this ecosystem is under threat because of our impact on it. And that's written in here. Here we have some examples of environmental